Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Batwoman Season 2 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 10, Time Off for Good Behaviour, which I have just finished watching earlier. And before we get things started, I just want to quickly say that it's hard to believe that Season 2 is already in the halfway mark. We are now 10 episodes already into Batwoman Season 2, and it doesn't even feel that long ago that I already started this series by talking about the first episode when we was introduced to Javicia Leslie's character Ryan Wilder, and here we are 10 episodes later. It's unbelievable, and I think it's safe to say now that I've grown used to Ryan Wilder and Javicia Leslie, who's portraying her. She's doing an excellent job. Couple little clunkers along the way, but by and large, I would say Season 2 has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this one a lot. I would probably say I've enjoyed Season 2 much more than Season 1. Not saying that Season 1 was bad, but I don't know. It was very up and down, but still had some good, strong episodes. But this season, it's been really fun. It's been very enjoyable, and episode 10 was a lot of fun. I had a great time watching this, and we even got a cool little mention of a certain DC hero. Nothing spectacular, but just the fact that they mentioned this DC hero, who I'll get into in a moment, was quite funny. So you never know, we could see this hero show up one day in the Arrowverse. But this episode, nothing spectacular. Batwoman has officially put Black Mask on notice that she's coming for him, and we see Batwoman is continuing to wage the war against the False-Face Society. So this was, as I said, a really good episode, and I really enjoyed this a lot. And the way this episode ended is going to be very interesting to see how it's going to play out in the next episode, or maybe even 2 episodes. We'll have to see, really, but by and large, this was really good. So, with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about episode 10, Time Off for Good Behaviour. So, we see Batwoman is still continuing the fight against the False-Face Society and targeting all of their distribution centres for snakebite and trying to get the identity of Black Mask. Batwoman then publicly calls out Black Mask on the news, vowing to track him down, and she made it very clear that she is coming for him. So this was an epic moment, and one that really does a good job in setting the stage for the eventual confrontation between Batwoman and Black Mask. Luke tells Ryan that her latest efforts are going viral. Ryan asks about the comments Black Mask made about Batwoman killing his daughter, and Luke says that doesn't narrow anything down because Kate never killed anybody as Batwoman. Are you sure about that? He then jokes that Black Mask would blame the Crow's Next, or maybe even Aquaman. Now, this was quite interesting because we've seen Aquaman has been referenced in a couple of the shows now. This is the first time he's actually been mentioned by name. And I remember, I think, was it back in season 6 of The Flash? Something about Cisco got some technology from Atlantis. So it's cool to know that Aquaman actually exists in the Arrowverse. So now it's just a question of when are we going to see him. But this was nothing spectacular. It was just a throwaway line. But as I said, just the fact that Aquaman was actually mentioned says to me that we might see him one day. So we then see Ryan visits Angelic in prison and asks her to confess the truth and be set free. Later that night, we see Ryan and Mary attend the opening of the community centre they helped Jordan open, where she's confronted by Horton Spence, a journalist from the Gotham Gazette, wondering if the centre will be safe. At the mixer afterwards, the centre is attacked by someone with a lightning gun, who the city nicknames as Kilovolt. Yeah, I don't know about that. The Bat Team looks at Horton Spence and learns that he was fired by the Gazette months prior and suspects he could be Kilovolt. Yeah, I don't like that name. I'm sorry. I think they could have come up with a better name than that We then see Batwoman confronts Horton, who reveals that there's been a string of community centres being destroyed throughout Gotham and that his investigation into it led to him being fired from the Gazette. Kilovolt then attacks both of them and injuring Horton. Batwoman brings Horton to Mary's secret hospital and brings the lightning gun to Luke, who tracks the fingerprints onto a man named Mickey K, a prisoner who has been locked up for the past 2 years. Ryan meets with Mickey K in prison and finds out that he has a scar matching the one that Batwoman gave Kilovolt earlier. Ryan visits Angelic and gets her to confess and promises that she won't let Black Mask hurt her. Meanwhile, Black Mask confronts and tortures his False-Face Society members because of the lack of snake bites being produced. Brian asks Sophie to help get Angelic out of jail. Luke determines that Mickey K did escape from prison and that the for-profit prison itself is paroling prisoners if they can destroy community centres. Batwoman confronts the owner of the prison, who admits to his crimes and then 6 kilovolts on her. Luke shows up with a kilovolt gun and shocks the prisoners and saves Batwoman. Now, this could be interesting. Maybe we might see Luke Fox one day put on the Batwing suit? You never know. You just never know. Batwoman goes to Horton with the story and gets it published and made public knowledge in the Gotham Gazette. Jacob is kidnapped and drugged with snake bites, and in a dream sequence we see Jacob's efforts to find and free Beth while she was held captive at Cartwright's house. Now, this was an interesting scene because Jacob is poisoned by snake bites, and what this snake bite does is it recreates different events in people's lives but takes a different alternative route. So, for example, back in season 1, Jacob never found Beth, but when he is poisoned with snake bite, he imagines that he did find Beth. So it kind of twists reality a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. Jacob then meets with Dr. Evelyn Rhyme, Enigma's civilian identity, although he doesn't know that yet, and she determines that he's been using snake bites. Jacob admits to Dr. Rhyme that he's now addicted to snake bites because it helps him imagine a world where he did actually save Beth. Interesting. Ryan Cyanosis, aka Black Mask, visits Jacob and provides him with a sample of snake bites, asking him to investigate the source. Meanwhile, Sophie and the Crows track down the men whose names Angelic confessed and finds them murdered by Black Mask, who, as Sophie calls it, Black Mask is tying up some loose ends. Jacob goes to Mary and offers to help her reopen her clinic, but she refuses because she still wants it to serve the overlooked people of Gotham. After Mary turns him down, Jacob privately asks for the sample of snakebite that Cyanosis provided him. Julia tells Sophie about the lapses in her memory in her search for Kate. She then gets a message about the Cartwright house and finds Alice there. Julia argues that Alice might be spiralling over Kate's death, and Alice asks Julia to work with her to find Enigma in exchange for Alice leaving Gotham forever. This could be interesting. As Alice tells her more about Enigma, Julia suspects that she was behind her memory loss. Alice discovers that Julia had a meeting with Dr. Rhyme, and the two decide to split up and investigate her. Alice reveals that she wants Enigma to erase all of her memories of Kate. Now, these two working together, I don't know really. I wouldn't really trust Alice as much as I could throw at her, so it's going to be interesting to see how this relationship will play out. Julia tracks down Dr. Rhyme and confirms that she is indeed Enigma. Dr. Rhyme then injects Julia with a toxin to help her forget her memories again. Meanwhile, Alice snoops around in Dr. Rhyme's office, finding the recording of Jacob's therapy session with her, namely the bit where Jacob reveals how badly he regrets not saving Beth. She erased the recording. Later, Julia transfers from the Crows to one in Berlin, much to the surprise of Sophie. Interesting. Sophie tells Ryan that Angelic is being released from prison and moved off the grid. Ryan calls Angelic, who thanks her for doing that time for her in prison, and in the middle of the call we see Angelic is kidnapped, what appears to be the Crows, but they're actually members of the False-Face Society. And that pretty much ends episode 10 and my review. Overall, very good episode. Really enjoyed this one a lot. And, as I said, season two so far overall, now that we're in the halfway mark, has been very, very good. And I just wonder how Jacob's addiction to snakebite is going to play out. And also, I'm just wondering, how are Ryan and Luke going to get Angelic back, especially as she was kidnapped after being released? So there's lots of questions being asked, but we'll probably have the answers to them soon enough. But overall, this was an excellent episode, in my opinion. So I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 10? Did you enjoy it? What were your thoughts on Jacob being addicted to snakebite? How will these hallucinations play out in the events in Jacob's head? And also, how will Ryan and Luke get Angelic back from the False Face Society? Where do you think they've kept her? Is it possible they could take her to where Kate is being held hostage? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Batwoman Season 2 review series, where I'll be talking about episode 11. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.